Hi guys, welcome to another At the Hansons video. First of all, apologies for the sporadic video updates we've been doing. It's been pretty hectic over here, but I promise we will be doing more regular weekly videos from now on. In today's video, I tackle a whole heap of engine maintenance and upgrades and fall far outside of my comfort zone. But we battled on, and for the most part, I'd call it a success. So, let's get to it! So, one of the other things we've been doing recently is trying to sort of clean up the engine room. So, down here it was like, I don't know, it was just a bit oily. It was oily and greasy and sort of fairly like black basically. So, clean that up. And we need to clean up some of this wiring, just make it run a bit nicer. And I've started labeling up some of the cables so I can figure out what's what. Just so I understand it all. I know sort of what everything does or has a purpose for. As part of that, you can see already, but I've started taking off all of the foam insulation. I bought some stuff online, this like foil backed insulation, which hopefully does a better job of insulating, because this existing foam insulation does an okay job. I mean, it's not that noisy, the engine, considering it's an old like 50 horsepower. I'm going to continue ripping out all of this. And what I've done, I mean, above there you can see I've got this is where the sinks were and the plumbing, so I've torn those out. I've put a wooden panel in there which I can show you quickly. It's roughly what it looks like. It's a bit messy, but I've sort of put a new panel in. It's not permanently in place, it's just sat there at the moment, and then we'll screw it from the bottom up, so it's solid and in place. And I'm going to put a couple of LED lights up here on the roof, and that'll just make everything a lot easier to see stuff, because at the moment I've got a head torch on, which is probably not that easy for you guys to see. But it's the best way to sort of see in here because it's really dark otherwise, there's no light. So it's having some LED lights up here and then combined with this, like the insulation is like foil backed, so it's just going to reflect the light everywhere. If there's a leak somewhere, it's going to be super obvious because it's going to be lit up like, yeah, Blackpool illuminations. Ta-da! We've got this. Whoa. So these are noise insulation foam that will reflect noise, reflect heat. They're actually a little bit battered though, aren't they? It's not ideal. Well, I mean, it's fine, but you know, they're not cheap. So I'm gonna have a go at installing those today. I've started to put the foil insulation in the engine room, guys. So I mean, it looks good. I wired up this light temporarily, makes it a lot easier to work and see things. And I've started fitting the insulation, put the roof panel on. Obviously there's lots still to do. It's quite slow. This stuff is like, it cuts. I just cut it with a Stanley knife. I just want to make sure that I get all the cuts, the sizes right. I don't want to waste loads of this stuff because it wasn't that cheap. All of the seams here, we've got some like foil tape. So the foil tape will go there. It'll go over the little plastic washers and screws that hold up. So it'll cover it all and sort of make it a sealed, hopefully clean-ish and soundproof-ish room. And it looks cool with the engine room lit up. It's so much easier to see everything. Pretty awkward work. I'm just sort of squashed down inside that little cupboard. It's taken a while. It's a really muggy, like humid day today, so it's quite sweaty work. But yeah, it's good. Update on the engine room insulation. As you can see, that side is all insulated. That's the door. The side of the engine room is shut. It's a pretty good seal around the door, so I'm quite happy about that. There's a couple of gaps here and there. I'm going to fill some of them in. Like this one along the top here, I'm obviously going to fill that in. That's quite chunky. I'm not sure about, see down there, there's a little one in the bottom left corner. Might fill that in. I don't know. We'll see how long my patience lasts and my willingness to do this job, because it's taken quite a while so far. It's been the best part of a day to do this, and I thought it'd be quite a quick job. So maybe I'm just very slow. Once I do that, like the cupboard sections, like the side access holes, I've got to take these stairs out, and inside the stairs is more insulation. But yeah, it's taken ages, and I'm really hungry. I'm a bit grumpy, but we're getting there. The room is fully insulated now. All of the panels are up, and Flick has started to put the foil tape. She's finished work and she's helping finish it off. There's a sideways Flick. We're just foil taping all the corners and it makes it look neat and apparently helps. I'm not sure that it helps. And under there you can kind of see now because it's reflecting light, but I've done the stairs as well.
Has actually made it a lot lighter to be able to work in here, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's tons light. So we've only got one light going, which will be put in the ceiling. And then we'll put another one on the right hand side, and then it reflects all the light, the foil. So what's really nice is there aren't really any annoying shadows.
Yeah, it's really
because when I was in here with a head torch, you couldn't actually see, unless you were looking directly at it with a head torch, you couldn't see anything really because the shadow cast was so extreme.
Yeah.
Now we're going to tidy up a little bit. I've already started tidying up. And then go and take Walter for a walk because it is a lovely evening. Look at all of the mess from cutting up the foam. I've got a good tidy up job doing. You okay there, mate? Yeah. All right, see you later, guys. Here we go, here's the engine room. So all foil taped up. Oh, there's a white washer there. We missed one washer. We can do that. Oh, there's one down there as well. Aha! My little gremlin, my little Santa's little helper, Flick, was doing the taping. She's missed a couple. Oh dear. So yeah, this is the engine room. I've rigged up these two lights. I need to clip the cables sort of out the way into the ceiling, but yeah, the lights are there and it looks cool. I've tidied it, hoovered it. And engine room done. And we ran the engine yesterday just to actually see if it was any quieter, and it is definitely quieter. It's not like infinitely quieter, it's just the noise is like softer. It's like less harsh or like less vibration. Good morning. Today I'm continuing with our engine maintenance. So we've got a few little issues at the moment. We have a tiny coolant leak. I've already started this morning. I've taken the hose clamps off. We have a tiny coolant leak coming out of this hose here. It's here where it meets the blue tubing. So I need to replace this. As you can see, I think it's pretty old. The Jubilee clips are slowly sinking and being absorbed into the hose. This hose is equally old, so I think I'm going to replace it. It's bulging quite heavily at the sides, and these Jubilee clips are painted blue, but they're pretty rusty underneath. So I've drained down the coolant so I can start this job. And our second leak is this little guy. This is a little fuel priming pump, so to bleed air out the system when we change a fuel filter, or yeah, for whatever reason, get air in the pipes, we can pump it like that. But here there's a little tab. It's like plastic tab, but I think it's actually attached to the gasket. I don't know why this tab is here, because it's just prone to get caught or snap, or but basically this is really flimsy now. Really it's kind of cracked down the side here. I tried to put some like liquid gasket on there and it didn't really work, and it's just leaking diesel ever so slightly. So that's something else we need to fix. We need to take that apart and try and use some clean it all, take off the old gasket and basically put a new gasket on. So first job, let's get this coolant. We're going to get these old hoses off, which I expect is going to be a bit of a pain, but we'll see. I've got some like old puppy pads we used for Walter, and this is, yeah, it's doing quite a good job at soaking up any coolant that I spill. It was at this point that I started to realise that I'd bitten off a bigger project than I first thought. In order to put new hoses back on, I'd have to take apart some of the engine, which is, quite frankly, terrifying to a person with zero engine experience. So taking the hose off, and this metal does not look like it's in the best condition under here. I think the coolant has been sort of leaking under this hose for some time and that's caused some sort of corrosion. I tidy this up as best as I can, scrape off this corrosion and stuff, and sort of see what I'm left with. I've cleaned it up quite a lot. It looks a lot better, this bit of metal. But as you can see, there is a glaring issue here now. We have a hole. This hole is fine because this hole is sealed with the tube, the hose. This hole is where, well, it's grown now, but there was a tiny pinhole hole there at the bottom. And I started poking around with the screwdriver and it's all really soft, sort of corroded metal, so it needs to clean it out. Poked around, cleaned out the metal, yeah, and confirmed our hole. So our hose ended basically where the paint ends, which is why it didn't matter how much I tightened this Jubilee clip, because it was this hole is basically at the end of the hose. It was poking out the hose, so it was still leaking. So at this point, I was basically faced with two options. I could bodge it with some JB solvent weld stuff, but the problem might come and bite me in the butt later on, or I could replace the entire water pump, which would mean taking apart the timing belt assembly, removing all the pulleys and the front end of the engine. So, are you ready for some mess? Oh my god, there's a lot of mess.
Is that all coolant?
Should just be coolant water, yeah. But obviously not. It gets stuck in the system, it doesn't all drain out. Whoa. That's dirty.
Oh dear.
That's the old pump, look at that. And that was leaking here. That's why we've got corrosion there. Water shouldn't be in there, it should be sealed down here. Yeah. So the gasket was leaking and this pump is pretty corroded anyway.
And then look in the hole. What are your thoughts of that?
I don't even know where to start with all that. I think it needs like descaling.
Give me a thumbs up.
So I don't know if I filmed this earlier, but this is the inside of the old water pump. So as you can see, it is pretty much ready to be replaced. It's not in the best of nick at all. And this is on a bearing, and the bearing is pretty, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's not easy to turn. It's not a smooth bearing. It's pretty corroded in there. In there should be like a flat piece of metal, and it's quite hard to focus on the GoPro. But yeah, it's just totally kaput. It was leaking here actually, which we didn't even realise, but leaking very slowly here, and also leaking out the bottom here, which is why some of our engine blockers are a little bit rusty in spots at the bottom. But I'll show you the new one and you can see just what a difference it makes. Okay, new water pump has been spray painted. I've got a little bit on the sort of paint on the face there where it's meant to make a gasket, so I'm just going to clean that up with a wipe. But this is, yeah, all ready to install. I managed to get hold of the Perkins workshop manual online. It took a ton of Googling and it was really tricky to find. I'm more than happy to share it, so please reach out and I'll send you the PDF. To clean the face of this up, I've just scraped it really gently with a flathead screwdriver to get off any old gasket and bits like that that are still stuck on. And then I've gone over it with 600 grit wet and dry sandpaper, and yeah, it looks pretty good now. It feels really smooth, it's really nice and clean, so that when we put our new water pump on and we put some put a gasket there, it creates a really nice seal. So we're at that stage now, so let's give it a go. Water pump is on, hoses are on, so it's all going well. I've got 2 bolts on, and I need to, you know, sort of tighten these up relatively equally. If you don't do that, then you won't get a nice seal, a nice gasket. So that's that one. I don't know if you can see down here in the bottom corner, but what I did is I made a little cardboard template of which bolt goes where, because some of the bolts are different lengths, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess it up. Okay, that's it. New water pump fitted. I'm gonna spray paint these bolts as well to try and stop them rusting. Next step, tighten these hoses up, and then we can install the water pump pulley, and we can install the belt that goes here, which is the timing belt, which runs off the crankshaft and makes sure all these things work as they should. Yeah, we can put everything back together basically and put the front of the engine, the crank, the timing belt case all back on, and then the last job is to fix replace this fuel pump, which is arriving in a couple of days. So okay, so I've skipped a few steps here, but I have put the pulleys, these pulley bearings on. This is a tensioner. I've put the belt back on. I think it's similar amount of tension as before, like it's quite a lot of tension. Obviously I can't check if this is leaking or not until we actually have the engine started again. But timing belt back on. Next step is to put the water pump wheel back on, like so. Line up the holes. No, that's wrong. I need to put the case on before I put the pulley on. I've fitted the new fuel priming pump, compression fitting here on, hose on here, and I've also had a go at bleeding it, so we should be free of air. I've also flushed the coolant once with just some tap water basically, and now I'm about to add this radiator flush stuff, which will hopefully get rid of some of the scaling and a little bit of the rust and get rid of any oil residue, that sort of thing. We're going to add this in, and then it says we're going to try and run the engine for 10 minutes at idle to let this do its work. But first we've got to start the engine, which could be a ordeal in itself because we might have air in the fuel line still. I have bled it, so I think we might be okay, but there might be fuel air in the injector lines, and I might have to bleed each one of those individually. I don't know yet. We're going to find out. But I've been really rubbish at filming the actual fitting of the fuel pump, but I just totally forgot. It's really straightforward. It comes in a box from a website where you can buy engine spares. Take the old one off, put the new one on. Slightly different design. Hopefully that means it's a better design. Who knows? Ah, look at that. I can see a coolant leak. So I've got a leak here on this hose, which indicates to me that the Jubilee clip is not tight enough. Oh, yeah. I was really worried about over tightening these. So let me just find my socket wrench and let's tighten this up. Okay, this is Walter's bed, by the way. He's trying to avoid the hot weather. It's very hot here in Plymouth at the moment. So let's have a go at tightening this guy. He is very loose. And it looks like our leak, it was dripping down here. Looks like our leak has stopped. Let's just check all our other hoses. This is a bit loose, not as bad. This was definitely the looser one. Let's just check they're all nice and tight. Oh, this guy is pretty loose. I did tighten these with the drill on like a torque setting. But then when I put the socket wrench on like this and try and tighten it, I'm like, oh wow, that is loose. So it's probably a good thing to just give them a tighten. So this is a handy dandy, very simple trick, but blue kitchen roll from well-known DIY stores. What's good about it being blue is if it gets wet, it's really easy to see that it's wet. So it goes that dark blue colour. So I can press it on each of the rubber seals and at the bottom, and that's dry. And ooh, slightly wet. And it could be that there's water from the previous leak still, so I'm going to make sure that this is absolutely bone dry now. This is, if you hear these grumbles, it's Walter. He's really, there you go, big sigh, big sigh. I don't know why he hates me talking, but okay, that should be fairly dry. Fresh piece of tissue. Let's do the wet test. Aha, dry. I think we're okay. I think we are leak free. Okay, and just in time, Felicity's come back. We're gonna have a go at starting the engine. I've just poured my handy dandy bottle of radiator flush in the engine, so that'll work its way around once the engine's turned on. We'll leave that in for 10 minutes and then, yeah, we'll have a go at draining the engine again. What, you go to bed for me? Cool. Go to bed? Good boy. Okay, do you want to give it a go?
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah, no, get in. Don't say ready. That's his trigger word for a tennis ball. Okay, give it a go. Hey! It started first go. That's so good. Happy? Yeah. I did not expect that to go first go. I thought it'd be ticking over for ages. Okay.
Looks like that was better than it normally is.
Yeah, maybe. Might be because the fuel pump, there's no air leak here. Now I just have to watch out for leaks, so I'm going to keep an eye on it for a bit and watch out for leaks whilst this coolant stuff is flowing around. I'm also going to put the cap back on the coolant. Are you happy? Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. We've been working like crazy to try and prepare the boat and get it across Biscay before nastier weather rolls in. Needless to say, we've made it! We're now on the northwest coast of Spain. Yay us. Follow our Instagram for live updates as we sail down the Spanish and Portuguese coastline. From now on, you can hopefully expect weekly videos from us. So until next week, ciao! Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, and of course, find us on Instagram for more Walter fun.